He thought he was the last one who remembered. Then he saw the rose, because this isn't just about a flower. Have you ever gone back to a place that holds your grief, only to realize someone else has been grieving there too? You don't have to explain it. Just type a rose if you felt that kind of loss. Alexander stood before the marble headstone, rain beginning to dampen his expensive suit. He didn't care. Every year on this day, March 15th, he made the same pilgrimage. Marcus Rivera, beloved son, brother, and friend, 1995 to 2018, a hero who gave everything. Alex's jaw tightened as memories flooded back. They had been inseparable since middle school, made plans together, dreamed together. They were supposed to join the army together after graduation, two best friends taking on the world side by side. But when the time came, Alex had backed out. His father's company was failing, and someone needed to step up. Marcus had understood, he always did, and enlisted alone, proud and brave. 2 years later, Marcus never came home. Alex had been in a board meeting when he got the call. The words, "killed in action," had shattered something inside him that never quite healed. At the funeral, through his own tears, he had made a vow to Marcus's grieving mother. "I'll take care of them, your family, I promise." He had kept that promise. Marcus's mother received monthly support until she passed 3 years ago. But there was a sister, much younger, barely a teenager back then. Alex had lost track of her after Mrs. Rivera's death, assuming other relatives had taken her in. Now, as Alex knelt to place his usual bouquet of white lilies, Marcus's favorite, something made him freeze. There was already a flower there, a single red rose, fresh and dewy. His heart hammered. In 7 years of visiting this grave, he had never seen anyone else here. Who could it be? Alex glanced around the empty cemetery, then made a decision. He tucked himself behind a large oak tree nearby and waited, rain soaking through his clothes. He didn't care. He needed to know. 20 minutes passed. Then he saw her, a young woman in a worn jacket too thin for the weather, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She walked slowly to Marcus's grave, shoulders hunched against the rain. She knelt, touching the headstone with a tenderness that made Alex's throat tighten. He couldn't hear what she said, but he saw her lips moving, saw the way her hand lingered on Marcus's name, saw the tear that slipped down her cheek before she quickly wiped it away. Then she stood, pulled her thin jacket tighter, and walked away, disappearing into the gray afternoon. Alex stood frozen, his mind racing. Who was she? How did she know Marcus? He approached the grave and placed his own flowers beside the rose, his hands trembling slightly. Something about that woman, the loneliness in her posture, the quiet grief, had shaken him deeply. Back in his corner office at Chen Industries, Alex couldn't focus. Board reports blurred before his eyes. His assistant, Margaret, had asked him 3 times if he was all right. He wasn't. That woman's face haunted him. The way she had touched Marcus's headstone like it was the only connection she had left to something precious. By Tuesday, Alex had made up his mind. He picked up his phone and dialed a number he rarely used. "Harrison, it's Alex Chen. I need your help with something sensitive." David Harrison was the best private investigator in the city, discreet, thorough, and efficient. Within 3 days, a manila envelope landed on Alex's desk. His hands shook slightly as he opened it. The photo showed the same young woman, but clearer now. Dark eyes that held both strength and sadness, high cheekbones, a smile in one photo that didn't quite reach her eyes. Then he read the report, and his blood ran cold. Subject, Isabella Rivera. Age, 24. Occupation, part-time waitress at Joe's Diner. Occasional freelance bookkeeping. Education, bachelor's degree in accounting from State University. Graduated with honors despite working 3 jobs. Current residence, Studio apartment, West Side, building condemned, scheduled for demolition next month. Next of kin, deceased. Brother, Marcus Rivera, KIA 2018. Mother, Elena Rivera, deceased 2021. The file continued with devastating details. After their mother died, Isabella had been left with nothing. Their mother's medical bills had consumed everything. She had put herself through college while working multiple jobs, graduated at the top of her class, but couldn't land a stable position. The economy was tough, and she had no connections, no network. She was Marcus's little sister, the girl he used to carry on his shoulders at family barbecues, the one Marcus had talked about constantly, dreaming of paying for her college education when he got back. And Alex had lost track of her, had failed in his promise. The shame was crushing, but beneath it burned something else, a fierce determination. "Not anymore, Marcus," he whispered to the empty office. "I swear to God, not anymore." That Saturday, Alex drove himself, no driver, no security, to the West Side. The building Harrison had identified was worse in person. Crumbling brick, broken windows, graffiti covering every surface. He found her in the small courtyard behind the building, hanging laundry on a sagging line. She wore the same thin jacket, and even from a distance he could see how pale and tired she looked. Alex approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Excuse me? Isabella Rivera?" She spun around, eyes wide with surprise and wariness. "Who's asking?" Up close, the resemblance to Marcus was striking. She had his eyes, dark and intense, his stubborn chin. But where Marcus had been all confidence and laughter, she looked haunted, guarded. "My name is Alexander Chen. I was your brother's best friend." The clothes she was holding slipped from her hands. "Marcus's? You're Alex? You know about me?" "He talked about you, all the time. In his letters. He said you two were going to change the world together." The guilt hit Alex like a physical blow. "Can we talk, please?" She studied him with those two knowing eyes, then glanced back at her building. "There's a coffee shop 2 blocks down. It's not fancy, but I don't care about fancy. Lead the way." They sat across from each other in a corner booth, steaming cups between them. Isabella wrapped her hands around her mug like she was trying to absorb its warmth. "How did you find me?" she asked quietly. "I saw you at the cemetery on Marcus's birthday." Alex leaned forward, his voice urgent. "Isabella, I made a promise to your mother to take care of you, and I failed. I'm so sorry. I should have tried harder to find you after she passed." "You couldn't have known." "I should have known." The words came out harsher than he intended, and several people glanced their way. Alex lowered his voice. "Marcus was my brother in every way that mattered, which means you're my responsibility, my family." "I'm not anyone's responsibility," Isabella said, lifting her chin in a gesture so reminiscent of Marcus that Alex's heart clenched. "I've been taking care of myself just fine." "Have you?" Alex pulled out the investigator's report and slid it across the table. "Your building is being demolished in 3 weeks. You're working 60-hour weeks between 2 jobs and still barely making rent. You graduated top of your class in accounting, Isabella. Top of your class. And you're waitressing because you can't catch a break." Her face had gone pale, then flushed red. "You investigated me? I needed to know how to help." "I don't need your help." She stood abruptly, grabbing her worn purse. "I don't need your pity or your guilt or your—" "He asked me to take care of you." Isabella froze. "The last letter Marcus sent me before—" Alex's voice cracked. He pulled out a worn envelope from his jacket pocket, one he'd carried for 7 years. He wrote, "If anything happens to me, promise you'll watch out for Bella. She's tougher than she looks, but she deserves someone in her corner. Be that person, Alex." Tears were streaming down Isabella's face now, and she sank back into the booth. "He really said that?" "Every letter. He loved you so much, Isabella, and I failed him. I failed you both." A tear rolled down Alex's cheek, surprising them both. Please, let me make this right. Not because you need saving, but because I need to keep my promise to my best friend. Because he would have done anything for you, and I owe him everything." They sat there crying together, two people bound by grief and love for the same remarkable man. Finally, Isabella wiped her eyes and gave a shaky laugh. Marcus would have hated seeing us cry like this. He would have made some terrible joke to break the tension, Alex agreed, smiling through his tears. "Remember when—" She stopped, looking uncertain. "Hey, no, tell me, please. I want to hear your memories of him." And so she did. They talked for hours, trading stories, keeping Marcus alive between them. By the time they left the coffee shop, something had shifted. An unspoken agreement hung in the air. "I have a spare room," Alex finally said as they stood on the sidewalk. "Guest suite, actually. It's yours for as long as you need it." "Isabella," and before you argue, let me point out that your building literally has a demolition notice on it, so you need somewhere to stay anyway. Plus, you have an accounting degree, and I have a massive corporation that's always looking for talented people. So really, you'd be helping me out." Isabella laughed, a real laugh this time. "You're very persistent." Marcus always said it was my most annoying quality. Alex's smile turned serious. "I'm not trying to save you, Isabella. I'm trying to honor my best friend. But more than that, I'd really like to get to know his sister, the person he loved most in the world." Fresh tears welled in Isabella's eyes, but she was smiling. "Okay? Okay? Okay. But I'm paying you back every penny once I get on my feet. We'll argue about that later. First, let's get you moved out of that death trap you're living in." The next week passed in a whirlwind. Alex had insisted on personally helping Isabella move her belongings, which amounted to 3 boxes and a duffel bag of clothes. The poverty she'd been living in made his chest ache with guilt and anger at himself. His penthouse apartment had 3 bedrooms, and he gave Isabella the largest guest suite with its own bathroom and a view of the city skyline. She had stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows that first night, staring out at the glittering lights with an expression of wonder. "It's like a different world up here," she had whispered. "It's your world now, too," Alex had replied firmly. But he was careful to give her space. He'd learned from the investigator's report that Isabella fiercely valued her independence. She'd survived alone for years, and he didn't want her to feel suffocated or like a charity case. Monday morning, Alex had handed her an envelope. "Temporary living expenses. Consider it a loan if it makes you feel better." She had opened it, seen the amount, and her eyes had widened. "Alex, this is barely a drop in the bucket for me, but it should cover clothes, necessities, whatever you need while you figure things out." What happened next, he hadn't anticipated. That Thursday, Isabella collapsed in the kitchen while making coffee. Alex had come down for breakfast to find her unconscious on the floor, burning with fever. He'd carried her to his car and driven straight to the hospital, his heart in his throat. The doctor diagnosed severe exhaustion and a respiratory infection, her body finally giving out after years of stress and overwork. "She needs rest and proper nutrition," the doctor said sternly. "Her immune system is severely compromised." Alex had brought her home and insisted she stay in his apartment until she fully recovered. Isabella protested weakly, but she was too sick to fight. For the next 2 weeks, Alex personally made sure she ate proper meals, took her medication, and rested. He worked from home, checking on her between meetings. His assistant, Margaret, had raised an eyebrow at his suddenly rearranged schedule, but said nothing. Slowly, Isabella regained her strength. Color returned to her cheeks. The dark circles under her eyes faded. She started smiling more, laughing at the sitcoms she watched while recovering. One evening, Alex came home from a rare office visit to find Isabella in the kitchen, cooking. "What are you doing?" I asked, alarmed. "You should be resting." "I've been resting for 2 weeks and I'm going stir-crazy." She stirred a pot on the stove, and the aroma of homemade soup filled the air. "Besides, you've been taking care of me. The least I can do is make dinner. Mom's recipe for chicken soup." Alex felt something warm unfold in his chest. Marcus used to rave about your mom's soup. He would eat 3 bowls in one sitting. Isabella's smile was bittersweet. I haven't made it since she passed, but it felt like time. They ate together at the dining table, and for the first time the enormous apartment felt like a home rather than just a living space. "Thank you," Isabella said softly, "for everything. I know Marcus would be grateful." "I am grateful," Alex corrected. "You've reminded me what it's like to have family in my home." A few days later, when Isabella announced she felt completely better and wanted to move out, Alex surprised himself by refusing. "What?" Isabella blinked at him. "I said no, you're not leaving." "But Alex, I can't just live here forever. I need to get back on my feet, find my own place." "Why? This apartment has more rooms than I know what to do with. The rent is paid whether you're here or not. And honestly," Alex ran his hair through his hair, suddenly awkward, "I like having you here. The place feels less empty." "But I owe it to Marcus. He would want to know you're safe and taken care of." When she still looked uncertain, he added, "Please, Isabella, stay, at least for a while longer." She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but I need to start working. I can't just sit around all day." A slow smile spread across Alex's face. "Funny you should mention that."
Absolutely not. Alex blinked at Isabella's fierce expression. They were sitting in his home office, and he just mentioned a junior accountant position opening up at Chen Industries. "Why not? You're qualified, you need a job, we have an opening." "Because I won't get hired just because I'm living with the CEO." Isabella braced her arms. "I appreciate everything you've done, Alex, but I won't take charity, not like this." "It's not charity? Then let me apply properly. Let me compete for the position like everyone else." Alex leaned back in his chair, frustrated. "Isabella, you graduated top of your class. Your resume is impressive. You don't need to prove anything." "I need to prove it to myself." Her dark eyes blazed with determination, Marcus's stubbornness shining through. "If I'm going to work at your company, I'm going to earn it, fair and square." "The application process is intense. There's a written exam, multiple interviews, a practical assessment." "Good. When's the next testing date?" Alex sighed, recognizing defeat. Marcus had been as immovable once he'd set his mind on something. 3 weeks. Perfect. That gives me time to study." Over the next 3 weeks, Alex watched Isabella transform. She woke at dawn to study, stayed up late reviewing accounting principles and business case studies. She'd taken over the dining table with textbooks, notes, and practice problems. Alex found himself bringing her coffee during her study sessions, sitting nearby while he worked on his laptop. Sometimes they'd work in comfortable silence. Other times, Isabella would ask him questions about Chen Industries' structure or policies, and he'd gladly explain. He noticed she had a brilliant mind for numbers and an intuitive grasp of business strategy. When she analyzed one of his company's quarterly reports for practice, she spotted inefficiencies his own accountants had missed. "You see this departmental spending?" She pointed to a section in the report. "These 3 departments are duplicating software licenses. You could consolidate and save $250,000 annually." Alex stared at the report, then at her. "How did you catch that?" She shrugged. "When you've spent years making every dollar count, you get good at seeing waste." The day of the exam arrived. Alex wanted to drive Isabella to the testing center, but she insisted on taking the subway like any other candidate. "I need to do this on my own terms," she said firmly. Alex paced his office all day, unable to focus on anything. Margaret finally told him to go home early because he was driving everyone crazy. When Isabella came back that evening, she looked exhausted but satisfied. "It was hard, really hard, but I think I did okay." "I'm sure you did better than okay. We'll see. Results come in 7 days." Those 7 days were torture for Alex. He'd never been so anxious about anything business-related in his life. Isabella remained calm, though he caught her occasionally staring into space with a worried expression. Finally, the envelope arrived. Alex was in back-to-back meetings when Margaret rushed in holding the results. "Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the testing results came in." "And?" Alex demanded, his heart pounding. "I think you should open it yourself." He practically snatched the envelope from her, tearing it open with shaking fingers. Isabella Rivera, score 97-100, rank first out of 143 candidates. Yes! Alex pumped his fist in the air, grinning like a madman. Yes! His entire boardroom stared at him in shock. Margaret was smiling. Alex didn't care. Reschedule these meetings, I need to go home. He practically ran to his car. Isabella was in the kitchen making tea when Alex burst through the door waving the results. 97, first place out of 143 people. I passed? Her hand flew to her mouth. You didn't just pass, you destroyed it. Top score. Alex crossed the room and without thinking, pulled her into a tight hug. I'm so proud of you. Isabella hugged him back, laughing and crying at the same time. I actually did it. I earned it. You earned the hell out of it. Alex pulled back, his hands on her shoulders. Marcus would be so proud. I'm so proud. They celebrated that night with takeout and ice cream, talking late into the evening. Alex promised to take her shopping the next day for professional clothes. You start Monday and you need to look the part, he insisted. I have some work clothes. When's the last time you bought something new for yourself? Isabella's silence was answer enough. Tomorrow. No arguments. Consider it a sign-on bonus.
Saturday morning found them at the city's upscale shopping district. Alex had initially suggested going alone, but Isabella had looked so overwhelmed that he'd offered to come along. Just to carry bags, he'd said, and maybe give a second opinion. In truth, he wanted to be there. He wanted to see her face light up when she found something she loved. They hit 3 stores, Isabella carefully checking price tags and selecting conservative pieces. Alex kept adding items to the pile when she wasn't looking. A cashmere blazer here, a silk blouse there. Alex, that's too much, she'd protest. I'm the CEO. I know what people should wear to my office. Trust me on this. At the 4th boutique, Isabella disappeared into the fitting room with an armful of options. She'd show Alex each outfit, and he'd nod approvingly, but somewhat detached, fighting to keep his expression neutral. Then she stepped out in a dark green dress. Alex's breath caught in his throat. The dress was elegant but simple, falling just below her knees. The color brought out the warmth in her skin tone and made her dark eyes luminous. She'd let her hair down, and it fell in soft waves around her shoulders. What do you think? Isabella asked, doing a small turn. The lady at the boutique thought it might be good for company events, but I'm not sure. Beautiful, Alex said, before he could stop himself. Then, more firmly, it's perfect. Isabella's eyebrows rose. Really? Because you've been pretty non-committal about everything else. This one, definitely this one. She tried on 5 more dresses after that. A navy blue number, a burgundy shift, a classic black dress with pearl buttons, a soft gray wrap dress, and finally a pale pink cocktail dress. Alex found himself nodding enthusiastically to all of them, unable to hide his reactions anymore. Each dress seemed to highlight something new. Her graceful posture, her quiet confidence, the way she moved. Okay, what's going on? Isabella emerged in jeans and her original shirt, hands on her hips. First, you barely react to anything, and now you're smiling at every single dress. You're acting weird. I'm not acting weird, Alex protested, but he could feel heat rising in his face. When had that started happening? You absolutely are. Isabella's eyes sparkled with amusement. You're like a completely different person now. Did someone swap you out while I was changing? They all look nice. Uh-huh, she was fighting back laughter now. Well, I'll get 2 of them. The green one for sure, and maybe the navy. Get all of them. Alex, get all of them. He pulled out his black card and handed it to the saleswoman hovering nearby. We'll take everything she tried on, plus those heels she was eyeing earlier. I was not eyeing any heels. The black ones with the silver buckle. Size 7, right? Isabella threw her hands up in surrender, but she was grinning. At the register, the saleswoman smiled warmly. Your girlfriend has excellent taste. You're a lucky man. She's not my girlfriend, Alex and Isabella said in unison, perhaps a bit too quickly. An awkward silence fell. They avoided each other's eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, the saleswoman said, looking between them with a knowing expression. My mistake.
The ride home in Alex's car was quiet. His driver James maintained his usual professional silence, while Alex and Isabella sat in the back, both staring out opposite windows. But Alex was acutely aware of her presence, the soft sound of her breathing, the faint scent of her shampoo, the warmth radiating from her side of the seat. "What is happening to me?" he thought, troubled. Halfway home, Isabella's head dropped onto his shoulder. She'd fallen asleep, exhausted from the day's activities. Alex froze, barely breathing. Then, slowly, carefully, he shifted so she'd be more comfortable. Her dark hair fell across his jacket, and her face in sleep was peaceful, younger-looking, vulnerable. Something in his chest twisted, an emotion he couldn't quite name, didn't want to name. "She's Marcus's sister," he reminded himself firmly. "You're just taking care of her because you promised. That's all this is." But when they arrived at the penthouse and James opened the door, Alex waved him off. He carefully gathered Isabella in his arms and carried her inside, unwilling to wake her. She barely stirred, instinctively curling against his chest. Alex told himself the warmth flooding through him was just satisfaction at keeping his promise to Marcus. Just that, nothing more. He refused to examine why his heart was racing, or why he found himself standing in her doorway for a long moment, watching her sleep peacefully in the guest room bed, before finally forcing himself to walk away. Monday morning arrived with a mix of excitement and nerves. Isabella had been up since 5, trying on 3 different outfits before settling on a charcoal gray pantsuit paired with a cream blouse. Professional, but not trying too hard. Alex knocked on her door at 7. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." She smoothed down her blazer for the 10th time. "Do I look okay?" "You look perfect. Very professional." Alex paused. "And before we go, I need to establish some ground rules for the office." Isabella raised an eyebrow. "Ground rules?" "At work, I'm Mr. Chen, or Sir. You're Miss Rivera. We maintain professional boundaries. I can't show favoritism, and you don't want anyone thinking you got where you are because of our connection." "Agreed. I want to succeed on my own merit." "You will. Just be yourself." Chen Industries' headquarters was a gleaming tower of glass and steel. Isabella had seen it from the outside before, but never imagined she'd be working there. The elevator ride to the 15th floor felt like ascending into another world. When the doors opened, a sea of cubicles and glass offices spread before them. People in expensive suits moved with purpose. Everything was sleek, modern, efficient. Alex, Mr. Chen now, led her to the accounting department. 20 heads turned as they entered. "Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce your new colleague, Isabella Rivera. She scored highest on last week's examination and will be joining the junior accounting team. Isabella, this is David Park, your supervisor." A friendly-looking man in his 40s stepped forward, extending his hand. "Welcome aboard, Isabella. We're glad to have you." "Thank you. I'm excited to be here." "Isabella is someone very close to me," Alex continued, and Isabella saw several knowing smiles appear. "His brother was my best friend. He died serving our country 7 years ago." The atmosphere shifted immediately. The smiles became respectful, sympathetic. "That's not why she's here, though," Alex added firmly. "She's here because she earned top marks on every assessment. She's brilliant with numbers and comes highly recommended. I expect you all to treat her as you would any new team member. No special treatment either way." "Of course, Mr. Chen," said David. "We'll take good care of her." Alex nodded, then made eye contact with Isabella, brief, reassuring, before heading to his office on the top floor. Isabella took a deep breath and turned to her new colleagues, many of whom were now approaching with warm introductions. "Don't worry about Mr. Chen," whispered a young woman named Sophie, who worked at the neighboring desk. "He seems intimidating, but he's actually one of the best CEOs in the industry. Fair, smart, and he actually remembers his employees' names." "Good to know," Isabella said, smiling. The day passed in a blur of orientation, system logins, and getting to know her team. Everyone was welcoming, and several people mentioned being impressed by her test scores. 97 out of 100 is incredible. The test is designed to be nearly impossible. Most people score in the 70s if they pass at all. you've set a new record." Isabella felt a flush of pride. She'd done this herself, earned this position through hard work and skill, not connections. Meanwhile, 20 floors up, Alex was trying and failing to concentrate on a merger proposal. His mind kept drifting to Isabella. Was she doing okay? Were people treating her well? Was the work too challenging? Margaret noticed. Of course she did. His assistant had worked for him for 8 years and could read him like a book. "She's fine, sir," Margaret said, not looking up from her tablet. "I didn't say you've been checking the security feed from the 15th floor 6 times this morning. She's doing great. David already sent a message saying she's caught on faster than any new hire he's seen." Alex had the grace to look embarrassed. "I just want to make sure that you're keeping your promise to her brother, I know." Margaret's expression softened. "For what it's worth, I think you're doing a wonderful thing. And she seems like a lovely young woman." "She is. Marcus would have been so proud of her." "I'm sure he would be. Now stop hovering and let her succeed on her own." Alex laughed despite himself. "You're fired. You've been saying that for 8 years, sir."
At 6 o'clock, Alex made his way down to the accounting department. Most people had left, but Isabella was still at her desk, frowning at her computer screen. "Problem?" he asked softly. She jumped, then relaxed when she saw him. "Oh, hi. No, not really, just I found a discrepancy in one of last quarter's departmental reports. It's probably nothing, but the numbers don't add up." "Show me." Isabella pulled up the spreadsheet and walked him through her findings. She was right. There was a small error, barely noticeable, but it had cascading effects through several other calculations. "Good catch," Alex said, impressed. "Send it to David. He'll get it corrected." "Already did. He said thanks and promised me lunch tomorrow for finding it on my first day." "Then I'd say you've had a successful start." Alex glanced at the clock. "Ready to head home?" "You don't have to wait for me. Isabella, we live in the same place, and I always leave around now anyway. Come on." They rode down together in the elevator, and Alex was acutely aware of the curious glances from other employees. Let them wonder. He didn't care about office gossip. In the car, Isabella finally relaxed, kicking off her heels with a sigh of relief. "Feet hurt?" Alex asked, amused. "I'm not used to wearing heels all day, but I survived, and David said I did really well for my first day. He even—" She stopped, suddenly shy. "Even what?" "He said I remind him of you. Apparently, I have the same way of analyzing problems. I see patterns and inefficiencies that others miss." Alex felt an unexpected surge of pride. High praise. David doesn't give compliments lightly. They chatted about her day for the rest of the drive home. Alex found himself smiling at her enthusiasm, her relief at having done well, her excitement about the projects she'd been assigned. This was what Marcus would have wanted, his little sister thriving, confident and happy. So why did Alex's chest feel tight with an emotion that had nothing to do with keeping promises to old friends? He pushed the thought away, but it lingered in the back of his mind, growing stronger with each passing day. Over the next few weeks, a comfortable routine developed. Alex would drive Isabella to work each morning, then bring her home each evening. At the office, they maintained strict professionalism. Mr. Chen and Miss Rivera, nothing more. But at home, the walls came down. They'd make dinner together in the enormous kitchen, trading stories about their days. Isabella would complain about a particularly difficult spreadsheet, and Alex would vent about tedious board meetings. They'd debate everything from the best pizza toppings to economic policy. Isabella had gradually taken over parts of the apartment, making it more lived in. She'd added plants to the living room. "This place needs life, Alex." Organized his chaotic kitchen cabinets. "How did you find anything?" And somehow convinced him to buy actual groceries instead of surviving on takeout. "You're domesticating me," Alex had grumbled while she taught him how to properly chop vegetables. "Someone has to. You eat like a college student." "I'm a billionaire CEO who apparently never learned to cook. Now pay attention. You're supposed to dice these, not massacre them."
Their evenings often ended with both of them in the living room. Isabella had discovered Alex's extensive streaming subscriptions and declared him woefully uneducated about romantic comedies. "I don't watch those," Alex said from his armchair, pointedly reading a business journal while Isabella queued up her movie of choice. "You're watching it now. I'm reading. You're sitting in the same room, which counts." Alex preferred news and documentaries. Isabella loved romantic dramas. They compromised with Alex pretending to ignore her movies while secretly getting invested in them, and Isabella pretending not to notice. One Tuesday evening, Isabella was watching one of her favorites, a sweeping romance about second chances and star-crossed lovers. Alex sat in his usual chair with his laptop, supposedly reviewing quarterly projections. He wondered what was wrong and decided to watch a bit. Then both of them were locked in on the movie. She caught him laughing and having different emotions, too. She told him jokingly, "I thought you didn't like love movies." He immediately wiped his tears and said he wasn't watching. She started teasing him and laughing. He laughed and said, "You should go to bed." She left and he finished the whole episode. The next day, he got a call from his sister that she would be visiting for the weekend. He was also going to leave for a week on a business trip. He told Isabella to stay with his sister while he was gone. She felt sad he was leaving, but his sister was filled with excitement and liked that her brother was with a lady.